too. Hopefully it's still working. Anyway, married. I met my wife Amy. We were just teenagers. I was 16. And she was 15, a year younger. We met on our lane. We lived on a dead-end street. She lived down the road, and I lived up near the top, near the end of the dead end. So we went to school together. I liked her, but I was always shy around her because she was one of the smart kids in class. And well, I was just lucky enough to go to class and get through it. So we met on the bus, or waiting for the bus to go to school. We talked and we started hanging around more and got to know each other more until about 3 months I finally worked up the courage to give her a kiss, I guess. It was a slow process. I didn't figure it would last more than the summer. I figured once we got back in school she'd find somebody else. We'd be about our way, just young kids. But it didn't. It grew fast, grew strong. It's almost like we were meant for one another. And I guess we were. We went together for, I believe, 7 years before we got married. I really didn't think I was ever going to get married. And if I did get married, I did want kids. And my plan was to get married and have kids and maybe adopt a child. Well, it kind of worked out the other way around. Kind of. I found out my niece was pregnant. She wasn't able to look after the baby. So I thought, well, now's the time. I asked Amy to marry me. And the intent was to adopt the baby. Well, my niece had the baby. We brought the baby home with us without any paperwork signed. And then a month or two later, she decided she wanted the baby back, and we had to give the baby back. Heart-wrenching. But we got through it. And then we decided it was time to work on having our own children. So this was in 91. I think we started going together in 86, maybe 85, something like that. And then after Justin, my niece, took her son back, Amy got pregnant right away. And not only did she get pregnant, she got pregnant with twins. That's my dog, Willow. Boy and girl. Beautiful. Couldn't have been happier. But it was hard. We were both working full time. Most of our fights and arguments started around that time when we had children, just from the stress of everything. Bills, family life, working full time. It was hard. But we got through it. Marriage is a job that you have to love and you have to work at every single day. And we did. We had our good days, we had our bad days. When they say marriage is 50-50, it's not. Nowhere near it. Some days it's 100% for one person and 0% for the other. Maybe they're going through something. But you have to pick up that slack if you're the one doing the 100%. And you have to be glad that you're doing it. And that's how our relationship worked. There was times that it was 100% for her working and on the relationship. Sometimes it was 100% for me. Sometimes it was 50-50. And other times it was whatever else. Our biggest thing was, I think, the success to our marriage has been our ability to communicate. It hasn't always been fun. It's not easy telling somebody how you actually feel and then trying to work it out, especially if the other person feels it's an attack on them. And when you're married, it's not an attack on the other person. It's how you feel. And those feelings are justified. And you have to listen. That was my biggest problem, was listening. And always wanting to try to fix it. I think most men are that way. We see a problem, we think we need to fix it. Sometimes we just need to listen. That was hard for me to do. I got sick when I was 21. And I was in the hospital. I had an aneurysm in my left carotid artery. They clamped it. I had a couple of strokes, they think. And I had to learn how to walk and talk all over it again. I was in the city in Halifax. And Amy was by my side, I'd say every day. And that meant a lot to me. She, wonderful person. Always said, my dad always said, if you don't like Amy, there's probably something wrong with you. Not Amy. And he's right. And I'm thankful for it. Thankful that she's the person she is. I wasn't always a good husband or a good boyfriend. But I worked at it, and I'm still working at it. I work at it every day. And she's still by my side. When we had problems, we talked them out. There were times that I had to say I was sorry, when really, I didn't know why or didn't understand it, but I knew it was the right thing to do. And she deserved to be happy. And it was only a small issue, so I didn't mind saying I was sorry. And she's done the same thing, I'm sure. All right, now just settle it. I'm sorry. Let's move on. That's what you gotta do. The big things that are really important to you, you have to sit down and talk about. You have to lay it on the table. People don't do that enough nowadays. They don't, they're too afraid to show their true emotions and feelings. I think it's society, and Amy's the only person that I can open up to fully. She's the only one that I can, no matter what it is, how bad it is, how hard it is, I can open up to Amy, and we can sit down and we can figure it out. And vice versa. We've had our problems. We've worked them out. We try not to go to bed angry. And for the most part, we never did. Our roughest period was when we had the kids, like I said, with bills and work. But I can remember we had an argument one time. It was pretty stupid. And it was probably the closest that we ever come to splitting up. And we didn't talk probably for a week. Silence. It just kept building and building. And I come home one day and I said, you know what? This is stupid. We need to sit down and talk about it, because if not, one of us has to leave. When I got married for life. And whatever problems come up, we were to work on it. And I told her that. And we did. We sat down and we hashed it out and we worked it out. And like always, most of the time, Amy's right and I was wrong. And I seen that after we talked it out, and I apologized. And we went on. We moved on. We're always moving on. We're always moving forward. Your relationship has to move forward, because it's always changing. You're always changing as a person. So why wouldn't your relationship? And as far as growing apart, you can have different interests. Meaning interests are nothing else. She's a musician. She's a singer, songwriter, photographer, teacher, beautiful person. And I have none of those qualities. But I've always supported her, and she's always supported me. Just like she supports me now with this YouTube channel that I'm trying to get up and running. I'm enjoying this. It's kind of cool, really. Nerve-wracking, and exciting all at the same time, especially if it works. I'm not only doing it for the money to hope to monetize my channel, but I'm doing it because these are my interests, and if I can help somebody along the way, that's a bonus. We should be able to give back, even for small things in life. And that's what I try to do. I try to give back a little bit. I didn't always try to give back. You know, when I was younger, I was selfish probably. But I think I've always been a pretty decent person. Or tried to be. I always said what was on my mind. Sometimes that wasn't a good thing. If somebody asked me what I thought of them, I'd tell them. Or at least I'd say, do you really want to know? But all in all, at the end of the day, in order to have a successful marriage, you have to work on it. You have to be open and honest. You have to have hard conversations. And if you stick it out, it is worth it. So worth it. And I've just been blessed. My life has been blessed with having Amy in it. And my children. She gifted me 2 beautiful children. I can't ask for more. You know, I really don't deserve more. But whatever I get now is really a bonus. And after my last diagnosis, you know, she's going through a tough time again, having to deal with that. Life's not easy, and I don't think it's meant to be. I think it strengthens us. It makes us, it builds our character, and it makes us who we are. And for us, for me, I learned a lot from Amy. So, all in all, the points are: talk to your partner, love your partner, be open with your partner, tell them it's okay for them to feel safe enough to be open with you, and you should be able to get along and be with that person for a long time. It doesn't always work, but if you really want it to work and the other person really wants it to work, then you got a fighting chance. So, thank you for listening. And I want to say I appreciate everybody that watches my videos. If you feel like subscribing, subscribe, like, share, all that other stuff all the other people ask you to do. I've asked them for you to do for me. And if not, hopefully you still got something out of the video. I know I did. Just sitting here, listening to the water, with my dog, running around with Amy. You couldn't ask for a better life. Thanks. Have a good day, everybody.